Okay everyone, morning, Countrymarro here. Hope you all having a good day. Today is the 12th, Wednesday the 12th of March 2025, and I'll be putting some more melon seed in the ground. I have a few that I saved also from last year. I'll be putting in these melon seeds in the ground today. I also have some, no, that's cabbage. I'm not going to be putting in cabbage right now. I'll be putting in some roselle or roselle, we call it sorrel. I'll also be putting in some in the ground and some beans. Why I'm putting in these in the ground now, as I said, today is Wednesday the 12th. Our next full moon is on Friday the 14th. So I'm trying to catch the full moon, especially with the melons. When you plant your watermelons or pumpkins on a full moon, you avoid worms, old timers say. And I've followed that for years and it has worked. Watermelon, pumpkin, sweet potato. If you plant a sweet potato on a full moon also, they say you will avoid worms. So I'm going as I always have been going with what I learned growing up from old timers. Plant vining crops on a full moon. So I'm 2 head a day of the full moon, but that won't hurt because they won't germinate before then anyway. But I think I'm timing the full moon just right. I could have planted them tomorrow. However, I'm going in today. I don't think a day or two half is going to hurt anything. So I'm going to take you guys along with me today as I go ahead and plant these things on my fence line. So come along with me. So for the watermelons that I'll be planting on this side of the yard where I have the trellis already, I'll be going in with magic rabbit manure. So I'll be digging a hole and putting in the rabbit manure, also with some soil mixing with the Florida sand, and that should be it for them. So I'll be putting one here. Just get rid of this. Even though watermelons are some tiny seeds, I see people try to plant them. Just dig like a small hole and plant them, and then the plant struggles because they didn't mulch the area properly, as in make the soil soft enough for the watermelon to root properly. Hence you see people have watermelon and they're telling you that they have to be picking off melons or blossoms and all those things just to get a good bearing. For me, if I have 10 watermelon on my plant, I leave all 10 on the plant. So now I do this. I'm going in with the rabbit manure, just like that. Then I just work everything in. And I'm a bit generous when it comes to this rabbit manure. So bear with me, guys. And this rabbit manure will last even longer than the melon will last in the ground, from seed to bearing. This will always, well, this will be here for maybe the next 8 or 10 months. You can come back and plant something in here because it takes a while to break down. So I just mix it in like that. And here we go, ready to drop seeds. So I'm gonna dig a few more holes, and then when I'm dropping the seed, I'll just show you guys. So I'll be back with you. So here we have our watermelon seed, and these are what I saved from last year's harvest. We're gonna go in. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to put 2 of each. So 2 from last year's harvest. This one is not good. Whenever you get like watermelon seeds like this and you see they're very clear, like, you know, those seeds that would be translucent when you're eating the watermelon, you don't plant those because it's a waste of time. They won't be coming. So I'm going to drop 2 right here. 1 hole, 2 over here, another hole, and the holes can be just about 1/2 inch. An inch is too deep, in my opinion. So 1/2 inch for your watermelon. So 2 there. 2 right there. And on the next side, I also dig a hole to plant a few. So let me just take you guys across so you can see. Again, right over here. And it's the same process. 2, take your finger, 1/2 inch, plug, 2, and 2 of this one that we have right here, in another hole, plug. Then now I won't be watering these until about 6 or 7 this evening when the time is cool, because if I water them now in the heat of the day, maybe I shot the seeds. So you just leave them, let them rest in the soil, and when the time is cool, you can go ahead and water them. So for the melons, I have them over here. I went in right here and I planted 4, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, down some more, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, and over on this side. So this arch that I have right here with the hog wire should be all covered with melon come about June. So everything should be covered with melon. So I'm going in with some beans on this side. What I'm going to do, we have some vines growing on the fence line. I'm not going to pull them down. I'm just going to cut them from the root. Simple scissors here, just cut them from the root, or as low as possible, and they will die, allowing my beans to grow on this fence line this year again. For the beans, I still go in with 2 per hole, but I dig the holes close as possible to the fence line for them to have something to run on. Rabbit manure. And guys, if this rabbit manure is working so good for me in Florida, sandy soil. Can you imagine my friends up north? Just imagine homesteaders up north doing this in that rich soil that they have up there already. Just putting down rabbit manure. It's a game changer, guys. So I'm going about 24 inches apart, and this is going to cause a cluster right here whenever they start running. So it's going to form like a whole bushy part of the fence right there. I'm going to go down a bit more, so I'm going to just turn the camera and show you guys last one. I have some peppermint right here coming. They're not going bad. Planted them in December. I'm just gonna throw the rest of my rabbit manure right here. And that's just it. That's just it for me. Simple. Clear the space. Cut away the things that were growing on the fence line. One more. Just clip away the wisps that were growing on the fence line. And these beans should take over soon. It is simple. I just clear the spot with a little garden shovel, put the rabbit manure in the soil, mix it in, drop your seed. Don't drop your seed. If you're going to drop your seed in the middle of the day or when the time is hot, don't water the seed right away, or else you will shock the seeds. Give the seeds until the time has cooled down, maybe 5, 6 in the evening, whenever it gets cooler. And it's going to be cool for like an extended period, over 4 or 5 hours, which, you know, nighttime it's normally cooler. Even if the night is warm, the sun isn't out, so it's not as hot as in the day, so you don't shock your seeds. Okay, so that's another one. You can just leave the seeds, put them in the ground, leave them, nothing won't happen, and you water them in the evening and they should come. So here I'm going to plant a few Russell seed or sorrel. I think I'm just going to plant maybe 12, because we don't need more than 12. Last time we had way too much. And these things, when they bear, you get back a ton of seed also. So I'm just gonna drop them in, one, press them down. For this is just a regular potting mix, the cheap potting mix that I showed you guys. I'm gonna show you again. This is just a cheap potting mix that I use to start plants. I don't put any rabbit manure in my starter because they're only going to be staying in here like maybe a few weeks. And when I'm putting them in the ground, that's when I'll nourish them. But for this phase, I just want them to sprout, germinate. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So I'm going in with it. I'm going to do a baker's dozen. So let me go in with 13. So 13 is called a baker's dozen for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about. Back in the days, when you went to the bakery, you would buy like a dozen bread or anything, pastry. You get an extra one from the baker. So it's called a baker's dozen. Alright, so I just go over everything, those big chunks. Big chunk of stick. Get rid of them. And this roselle here, I'm just going to leave it under the greenhouse. Rule remain, I'm going to water it when the time gets cooler. So everything that I've planted today won't be watered until about 6 this evening. Granted, it's not the coldest day. It's not the coldest day in Florida, but the sun is still out and I don't want to shot these seeds. Oh, this is the cheap dirt. I think it's $2 for a bag. This is what I use just to start whatever I'm going to put in the ground. If I'm starting the seed in the soil, like in the ground or in a raised bed or so, I'm starting it there, and that is where the seed is going to stay for the rest of the plant's life. I will start it with rabbit manure in the hole. But now, in this soil, all these seeds need is light and water with soil contacting the seed for it to germinate. Once we reach the germination process and it gets enough water, it will be good until it's time to put them into the soil. Then that's when I go ahead with the rabbit manure. So short, quick one from Countrymarro today. I did some melon, putting them in just before the full moon. Also did some bean, what I call string bean, where we're from. We did some beans. Those are in also before that full moon. Really and truly, I'm trying to catch the full moon, but today is when I have the time. So I'm like a day or two out from the full moon. The next thing is, when you're doing gardening, you don't have to do everything at once. You can just have simple days like these when you go and you drop a seed or two in the soil and you can move along again. Just take your time, one, and you will be surprised after the season and you look back how many things you have planted. So don't overdo it and stress yourself. Just take your time in your garden. Go a plant at a time. Go a bed at a time, a raised bed at a time, a bucket at a time, whatever you're doing. Just take your time. Don't rush it. And talking about raised bed, a lot of people want to do gardening and are waiting to save up that money to do a raised bed. What I'm going to say is, if you're not on a concrete pavement, if your backyard or front yard or side yard, whatever you have, is not concrete and you have soil where you can touch soil, start planting, because raised bed gardening has become a fantasy, and it has always been a fantasy, because now when you're looking at it, people with backyard like mine, where they have the space and can plant everything, they are depending on raised bed. Raised bed started out with people who didn't have the land, as in the ground space. Sometimes they would be on a pavement or something. They have to drill holes in the concrete and all of those things, and you know, start up something or do buckets, plant things in buckets and bore the side of the buckets and all those things, just to get something to eat, just to know that they are providing, planting something for themselves. But it has taken over the internet and the minds of new homesteaders so much that we think that we have to have a raised bed or something beautiful like what we see a lot of people on the internet showcasing. No, you don't have to have that. And my backyard is proof to that. Just start tilling the soil little by little and plant what you have. Just plant what you have. To raise a few chicken, you don't have to have that fancy $1,500 or $2,000 chicken coop, because it is going to take years to repay you. Start small, go simple, and garden. Keep on gardening. Countrymarro. Have a blessed day.